Excellent. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have a magnificent guest with us tonight, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the legend himself, Brother Captain Wali Bahar. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam.
And on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we thank Allah for you taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us. And this means so much to the entire audience. The first question that we have for you, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
1952.
Mm.
I read it in a book called J. Rogers' History. My first acquaintance.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. And what city was this, sir?
Los Angeles, California.
Okay. Yes, sir.
27.
And once you accepted the teachings, how did your family and friends feel about you joining the nation?
The wife I had at the time I accepted Islam, I had just married. When she found out I came home and threw the pork out, she left me, took my baby, and never came back.
Yes, sir. And what was the climate like in Los Angeles when you joined the nation, sir?
Militancy from 58 to 62 was militancy, was the atmosphere in Watts, in Berkeley, and the whole West Coast.
Yes, sir. Now, brother Captain, how did you receive the name Wali Bahar? Like, how did you get that name, sir?
That's a multitude of answers in that.
Yes, sir.
My first name was Bobby Lee Moorhead from my mother's womb. My first acceptance of Islam was Bobby Lee 2X in Los Angeles, April 27, 1962. And in that name, I attempted to be a minister, and I served as minister until 1963. In 1968, I was ministering in Akron, Ohio, and I was teaching. And it wasn't my teaching that he called me in, but he called me in and he told me he was ashamed of me being minister Bobby Lee 2X. And he gave me the name Wali Bahar. I asked him, what does Wali mean? He said, it means a friend. I asked him, the apostle Allah is your friend. He said, it means more than a friend. It means a protecting friend. I said to him, the Holy Apostle of Allah is your greatest protection. He put his coffee down, looked me in my face. He said, when you come to me other than what I say you are, you will have no protection from me killing you. And that stuck with me. To this day.
Beautiful. Alhamdulillah. Excellent. Yes, sir. And was this your first time having a conversation with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
My first appearance, physically meeting him, my brother, I came in the nation with a brother called Silas Bell, now known Silas Muhammad, and he had a position and he had an appointment with the messenger. And I didn't have a position, but I was aspiring to be a minister. And he took me to his home in Phoenix. And when he opened the door and saw me, he immediately jumped on Silas and asked him, who do you think you are bringing a brother that I did not invite to my home? And at that time, I had no knowledge of him like I do now. And I loved my brother, and it kind of hurt me to see him get beat like that. And I said, I can leave. He said, sit down. And I did. That was my first encounter with them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so, are you saying that Brother Silas is your biological brother?
No, no, no. We
Okay.
met in the grave.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes,
We
sir.
met in the grave, and we lived in the grave. And he was divorced, and I was divorced. He was from Texas, I was Mississippi, and I was a hustler, and he was a gambler.
Mm.
We kind of hooked up with that kind of relationship. He had heard of Islam, and I had heard of Islam, and we found the same interest in that. And we ended up coming in together and got our ex together, and we married together, and we still together. I just don't follow nobody but Elijah.
Mm.
That's my brother.
Okay. Praise be
Always
to
will be
the-
his brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, now, how did you, after you received the holy name from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, uh, how did you become a captain?
Um, it happened with a brother named Theodore Humser. You may have heard of him.
Yes, sir.
He was the minister at mosque number 18. I was the minister at mosque number 37, Akron, Ohio, and I had gotten my name, and I thought I was doing fairly well. And I had maybe 100 people. Theodore had a multitude of people. And I was teaching a teaching that Elijah was my father and he was my God. Thought I was kind of successful. And Theodore reported me and to the messenger that I was teaching other than his teaching. The messenger called me in and he said, I'm ashamed of you teaching what I did not teach you to teach. I never taught you I was your father. He who found us is our father. And that's as far as he took that. And he said, I don't ever want to ever see you teach something I did not teach you to teach. He sent me back to Akron, and about, like, what could I teach after that? Probably nothing. About a month later, he called me to Chicago in 1968. And at that time, the temples of Islam has been infiltrated with all kinds of infiltrations. And he said to me, I want you to be my captain. And I said to him, yes, sir. He said, I want you to go back to your post, find someone to take your place as minister. And I want you to be my captain. And the supreme captain was sitting there, and he asked the messenger, when should he teach me? And the messenger told him, what do you mean he needs teaching? And that was never spoken of again. And he did not make me a captain of the FOI, or the mosques, the papers. He didn't make me the captain of anything, except I'm his captain. And he told me the only instructions are given from him, and the only instructions I report back is to him. And I never had to answer to any of the laborers, and the laborers never could give me instructions. So I took that as very personal. He didn't call me his personal captain. I defined it as the personal captain because I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
see any other captain doing what I was doing.
Alhamdulillah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. And Brother Captain, I want to make sure that you understand on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, that we thank Allah for your many sacrifices and the sacrifices of your family to help establish Islam here in North America and all over the world. We thank Allah for you, sir. We honor you and we salute you, Brother Captain, for all of the hard work that you have done, that you're doing, and that you will continue to do, inshallah. We thank you, sir. 1 second. My next question for you is traveling. Did you ever? I know we got Akron, we have Los Angeles, Akron, and then visiting the messenger in Chicago. Did you ever travel any other places?
I started in Santa Barbara. That was my first venture. And I had not met him, but I wrote him a letter and told him I wished to teach. And he wrote me back. He said, easy to sit in the house and speak of catching the fish and never go out and catch one, and then ask me if you could teach. And he said to me, go out and catch a fish, and I'll let you know if you're a fisherman. And I chose to go to Santa Barbara, California. And in Santa Barbara, there were very few black people. And the only black family there was a professional family named Joseph Stevens, Billy Stevens, their wives, and their mother. And that was my first convert, who later on ended up in Oakland as Joseph Bay. I left there and went to Chicago, where he sent me to Akron. And in Akron, he wanted me to reopen number 9 in Youngstown, which I did. He wanted me to redefine number 43 in Columbus, of which I did. And me and the minister in Cincinnati, the attorney at that time, became great friends. And the only one that had a problem with me was the great minister that I always admired, Minister Theodore Humza, who just couldn't, my teachings of the messenger were so personal to me personally to this day that I overstepped my boundaries. So he took me out of the minister's class, put me in a class that he was the teacher called his captain. And I was his captain from the time he pointed me to the time he died.
Yes, sir. And thank you all for people showing you love all around the world, sir. I want to go back. So, Yusuf Bay in Oakland, that was your first convert.
Joseph Bay and Billy Stevens was my first convert. Bernice was his first wife, and I got that whole history. And Joseph was my secretary. And when I left Santa Barbara, I had trained him of how I had felt the messenger wanted us to think, not believe, but think and live. And I left there, and when I went back, he had turned it in like I did into something personal. I was changed in my turning it personal, and that's how I got to be the captain. My era, not my promotion.
Yes, sir. All praises to Allah. And people are showing you love. Thank you, Sister Miriam, Sister Naima, saying Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Thank you to our YouTube family. Can't wait to upload this to Sister Auntie, Brother Musa, Brother Kente, Sister Hope, the gentleman, all of the people who are showing love around the world to our brother, Brother Captain Wali Bahar. Thank you very much. All praises to Allah. Great history being shared. And thank you, Sister Miriam, for the 20 stars. Thank you all who are watching. I wanted to ask you, sir, so did you ever get a chance to visit your Black Muslim bakery in Oakland and things of that nature?
Yes, it started in Santa Barbara.
Well, okay, so yes, sir.
It started in Santa Barbara with Joseph and Billy's father as the baker. I did in Santa Barbara, they had a railroad track. And I didn't have but 5 people who believed in what we taught. And we bought a hotel there, and we went to the railroad tracks, and we would gather the hobos who would stop, bring them to the hotel, clean them up, give them soup, use soup, shave their head, give them some bean soup, place to stay, and give them homage pizza. And that's how we started selling papers. At the same time, we developed the bakery. We fed them from the hobo. There's much history to that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful. I've interviewed many of his children, and it's very, know his family. So that's great history, sir. Thank you for that. Brother Nelson Ramos says, Assalamu alaikum, beautiful Muslim family. Wa alaikum salam, sir. And thank you to everyone who is watching all around the country. I wanted to ask you, sir, what is your favorite memory of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
When he told me the meaning of my name, and when he defined my last name, he said it means an unmeasurable amount of water with no life in it. And the lesson he taught me about the names, he said the first name, no matter how great it is, depends on how large your last name can hold it if it belongs to this individual.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, sir. All right. And we have people who are watching you and showing you love all around the world. Have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how did you overcome that fear?
Only fear I ever had, I was accused of killing a man in Youngstown, and I was charged with murder. And when I went to court, they had dug him up and put him on the stand. And he said, "I did it." That was my fear.
Mm,
Elijah Muhammad sent to New York, got an attorney named Jocko, and I never served a day.
all praise do so Allah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't have any more fear.
Mm, mm. Yes, sir. Yes,
Nothing
sir.
for
Okay.
you. Make this clear. I have nothing for you. Don't want nothing from you.
Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what was, if you could give advice to what was it like being serving as a captain, during that time period and seeing the military strong in the Nation of Islam in those during the 60s, the 70s. What was that like, sir?
It's a complicated experience. I was taken out of the laborers class and put in the class of servants. And there were very few of us that served there. There were many of us that were laborers. I was not. I attempted to be a laborer. I wasn't worthy to be a laborer. He made me a servant.
Yes, sir.
And that's what I did as the captain. I served him. I didn't give orders. I took orders. And I answered only to him. Then I answer only to him now.
Beautiful. Allahu Akbar. Yes, sir. Excellent. Go ahead, sir, brother captain. We have a quick six. Thank you all who are watching. We have so many more questions for our brother captain, and everybody's showing you love online. We have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We're grateful for every like, share, subscription, and anonymous cash app. 1 second, and we're coming right back to our brother Captain Wali Bahar, a legend. Thank you very much, brother captain, for this great history. 1 moment. And we are live. People's Podcast. Street Premiere Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of that. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My 2 books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. Thank you all very much. And for everyone who is watching, please let us know what city you are watching in. And if you have any guest suggestions, by all means, let us know. Thank you very much. Brother Captain, I wanted to ask you about Savior's Day 1975. You had a very important post and assignment, and you were on the stage. And can you let us know what 1975 Savior's Day was like and your assignment?
1974, I, with a very few others, had the privilege to visit him in Mexico. And at that time, if I had a tear to shed, I shed it then. And I describe that visit as triple darkness. 1975, I lived triple darkness. But before I go any further, I would like people to allow me. I have to acknowledge why I'm here.
Yes, sir.
The brother at Crow, Brother Medina, about a year ago, told me of you. And that's how this started. And here it is, maybe a year later. It's coming to fruition. But that's important. The reason I want to acknowledge it, because Crow means a lot to me personally. And I had nothing to do with its establishment. And I wish for everyone who lives as I do by the remembrance of Elijah to know for a fact where I am is the home of every one of us. Quote.
Yes, sir. All praise due to Allah. Shout out and salute and shout out to brother man Deen, somebody who's very close and dear. I had his, I was gonna give him a shout out at the end, but thank you, brother man.
I called him as I called you, my godson.
Mm, mm.
Tell your daddy I said that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wonderful. Thank you.
That's the new generation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to Crow. So you said 1974, you went to visit the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad
Yeah.
in Mexico.
Pardon? Pardon?
No, yes, sir. I said you were telling us how you visited the messenger in
Yeah,
Mexico.
I had a privilege to visit him in Phoenix when he was on, I call it the sabbatical. He was here. And what I saw then, I experienced in 1975.
Mm.
And in 1975, Wallace came to me early that morning and asked me to accompany him to the hospital. I did. He didn't tell me his father had passed until I got there. And we got up the elevator, he went in behind the curtains and he come back and asked me if I'd like to go. I said yes. I went behind the curtains, his eyes was open, his mouth was open. I was able to close his eyes, I was not able to close his mouth. And I said to myself, this man, this person I have served is dead, but the life in this person is the only life I have left. And that's what I said to this day.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And how did you how were you able to compose your emotions to still, soldier on and still go to Savior's Day? How did you do that?
You don't do that.
Mm.
You don't do nothing. You see, when Warrith took over, he inherited me. In 1974, his father forgave him. And he went around all the temples of the nation in 74, explaining his interpretation of Islam. So it was no surprise to me. What surprised me is he took away what his father had gave us. That surprised me. Didn't surprise me who they believe he is. Because before that, he had spoke the reason he was out of the mosque. He made a tape in Chicago about the messenger not being the messenger, the Master Farad Muhammad not being Allah, and was played at the dinner table. And I made a statement. I said, the older apostles, you don't have to worry about that no more. He said, don't you harm a hair on my son's head. And that cleared me. So I was ready to receive whatever Wallace did. So I ended up being the protector of Wallace as he destroyed the nation. Was the door to get to him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's powerful history, and thank you very much, sir. And okay, so I want to go back to that the infamous, the famous Savior's Day, 1975. Man Warrith Deen, he's getting instituted. Everybody's on stage. Most Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is there. Jesse Jackson, everybody's there. Where were you, sir? And how did
between Jesse Jackson and Wallace. Because I didn't trust them. Matter of fact, I didn't trust nobody.
Yes, sir. And how long did you serve, protecting Imam Warrith Deen?
I didn't serve Wallace.
Okay, yes, sir. We'll protect him.
He inherited me.
Yes, sir.
He didn't want me. I'm the only man that survived him. 1976, he took every captain that had a post and called them consultants. And he got to me, he said, Brother Captain, I don't know what to do with you. My father made you captain, but I can't make you in charge of nothing because you never were. I said to him, then you stuck with me.
Mm.
He lived with that until 1978. And from the roster, he fired me.
Yes, sir. And then what did you do after that, sir?
I didn't have nothing.
Mm.
But Elijah didn't make me anything. So I took the nothing that he made me. And I became a security guard at a bank called South Shore Bank. And I went from a security guard in the parking lot. When I retired from there, I was a vice president.
Go ahead. Yes, sir. Beautiful. Yes, sir. I'm familiar with South Shore Bank. I'm familiar. Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. That's great. People showing you love, sir. Okay. Wonderful. I also wanted to ask you, um, oh, when we spoke on the phone, you said you knew who my father was, and how did you learn about my dad?
After that, how he learned about me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
I was
sir.
already there.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
was there when a guy, the dad made it, tell him, do you remember a guy named Theodore Matty?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I trained him.
Mm, beautiful. Great history. Yes, sir. Go ahead. And people are saying all praises to Allah, alhamdulillah, bear witness to you, sir, all in the comments.
Simply the
Yes,
truth.
sir. Mm. Yes, sir. Did you know his brother Benny Makti?
I know them all.
Mm.
I know the brother, I know the girlfriend, I know the children, I know the grandparents. I know it before he was Matt Deen. I met him when he
Beautiful.
came out of the penitentiary.
Mm. Great history. Yes, sir. I also wanted to ask you, sir, what has been your greatest joy in life?
My greatest joy,
Yes, sir.
learning the man I believed in as a man, a human being, was my
Mm.
greatest joy. When I served him, I didn't serve a holy man.
Mm.
I served a man.
Mm.
I didn't judge him for what he did because whatever he did was for me.
Mm.
And that's why I called myself nothing, because he never made me anything. And I never did anything to be accomplished to even be here.
Mm.
Farrakhan earned the right to be what he is.
Mm.
I was at the
Yes, sir.
table when the messenger told him, don't wear the star like that, brother. You're a star with no equal.
Yes, sir.
I was also at the table when he told him, I want you to get it as big as you can get it. But if you turn hypocrite, the whole world will see and you won't be able to deny it.
Mm.
I've always sat there with everything he said. I was at the door you called the sycamore tree on the rostrum. But the messenger came out, he never came through the middle door. He always came through the side door.
Mm.
And on that day he came out, I never came before him, I always came behind him. And I was holding the door that no one else could in it until he got back in it. And he told the brother, come on, wait behind that sycamore tree. So I
Yes,
always
sir.
called myself the sycamore tree. That's what I call it.
Yes,
So
sir.
he told us, wherever you see him, look at it. Wherever he say go, go. Wherever he say
Mm.
stay from, stay from. And if he can get you across without dropping you, he won't get on the other side and say, look what I have done. But
That's
look
right.
what I have done. I've been watching that.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, okay. Now, brother Captain. So when during the early days when you saw the minister standing up and purchasing the mosque and the salam and different properties, how did you ever how did you all connect? Call them or how
I didn't understand the question.
Yes, sir. When the minister was like when he bought the mosque property back at Mosque Mariam, and he was doing things like this in the early days, like the 80s and like the rebuilding phases.
Or if you're talking about the minister, or you're talking about the message.
No, Minister Farrakhan.
Well, you have to know how we bought the place.
Mm.
You start with Minister Farrakhan when you talk about the master on Stony Island. You have to start with Elijah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Elijah is the one that introduced Gaddafi.
Mm.
Elijah is the one that Gaddafi told him how much you need. Now, Farrakhan may have rode on that horse.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Elijah
sir.
gave him the horse.
That's right. That's right.
So you're asking me about the development where we pull the crest, the stuff, the cross down and put the crescent up? Or you
Yes,
tell
sir.
me when we took the nothing down and put the cross up that never did, but
Mm.
nothing to put up? Or you
Mm.
talk about when we reinstituted
Yes, sir. The reinstitution. The reinstitution.
to put the chairs back in the mosque and we took the chairs out of.
Yes, sir.
Which of those periods are you talking about, the mosque?
Yes, sir. When you were putting everything back in, when you were putting the chairs back in.
That's Farrakhan. Taking it out with Wallace.
Yes, sir.
Buying it as it is was Elijah.
Mm.
What is it now?
I don't know, sir. We would say that.
Forget that. I don't want to go any further, brother, than you take me.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you, Brother Captain Wali, for your great taking time out of your busy schedule. You did a great job. We honor you and salute you for your service. Thank you, Brother Deen, for being the connection. And Brother Captain, inshallah, one day I would love to see you in person and perhaps have dinner with you so I can ask you more questions in person if that's possible.
I'm like, brother, as I said, I have nothing for you. I don't want anything from you. And it's hard to argue with a man that says he's nothing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So whatever you want out of me is what you have in you.
Praise be to Allah.
You don't go to nothing looking for something unless you have something to get out of it.
Yes, sir.
See, I have studied you before you started studying me.
Mm.
Joshua told me about you.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
And that's why I find your greatest joy is the last interview you had with him was the most sincere one he's ever had.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know you because I know your father. And I know your father because I know how much he loves Farrakhan.
All praise be to Allah.
And I know where his heart and devotion is with Elijah.
Yes, sir.
A crow is your home.
Beautiful. Well, on that positive note, this is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Thank you again, Brother Captain. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Crow, for upholding the banner of Islam and representing the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you all for watching. Assalamu alaikum.